Hey, welcome to this week's talk. I'm kind of going to wing it today because as we've been in this series of talks on the early followers of Jesus and kind of going through all of the disciples and learning some lessons from their lives and what they did, because if we want to follow Jesus, right, let's go back and look at how they followed Jesus and the mistakes they made in following Jesus, because it can make us understand like we do the same things at times. And so I was going to move into, and I will move into, the life of Paul, because Paul is a fascinating character who ends up writing, almost half of the entire New Testament. And but I woke up this morning with a title on my lips, and I went and spent some time just kind of in solitude and silence and sort of listening. And I feel like I just want to have a conversation with you about this idea that is there truly a secret to happiness? And do I have it? And am I able to actually tell you about that? So this is what I want to talk about. And so as we get into this talk, I hope you're watching this with a group of people. The reason why I hope you're watching with a group of people is it's so much richer when you can talk about these things with other people. You're going to grow a lot more because you're starting to implement it and you're cultivating the soil of your heart with other people in community. But even if you're not, you can participate in this talk. And so what I want to do is I want you to pause the video and I want to ask you a question. If you listen to the messaging of the world, so the messaging from social media and TV and movies and music and advertising, what would you say the messaging is telling you on the secrets to living a life of happiness? Go ahead, pause the video for just a second and have a conversation amongst yourself, and then come back and we'll unpack it together. Okay, hopefully you had an opportunity to kind of think that through and share and talk about it a little bit. I think it's always great for us to kind of give our answers before we hear a talk. And then we can kind of like adjust and shift and assimilate things in. My answer when I thought about that question for myself was, I think that what the world puts out is that happiness is found in wealth. And that was kind of my answer. And as I was kind of thinking it through, I said, well, is that really the soul level messaging, or is that really more of the surface level messaging? And I want to dive a little bit deeper into this concept of happiness and what the world messages us with, so that I can reveal to you the true secret to happiness. You can have it to hang on to the end of this message, because I am going to share with you the secret to happiness. It's actually not that complicated, and there is a way. But let's talk about what the world's telling us so that we can understand how we sometimes get caught up in trying to find our happiness from some of these things. So let me list a few of those. One of them is related to wealth, and that is that you have to buy the right things. See, advertising will suggest that by buying things, you need this new car, you need this new phone, this new jewelry, a vacation, a certain clothing brand, a certain type of house, that this will bring confidence and belonging and fulfillment in your life. And they're symbols of this happier life, this happier identity that you're going to have. And so buying the right things is one of the things that we hear constantly. It's bombarded. Another one is that you have to become more attractive, right? That the way you look, the way that God created you is not enough. You have to have more beauty. You've got to transform your body through fitness more, and you have to always look a little bit younger, and you have to have a certain style and a way you look, and that this is the pathway to being loved and to having this confidence and self-esteem and being accepted by others, but to have friendships, by becoming more attractive. Now, I'm not saying you shouldn't be healthy. We're going to hopefully be doing a series probably towards the beginning of next year on health and food and the Bible, what does it have to say about all that. But this whole idea of becoming attractive is something that we hear that's going to make you happier. Another one is that if you find this romantic love, that's going to satisfy something deep within you. And a lot of songs and movies really portray this idea of finding the one as this event that then completes you and brings you into this like beautiful, happy relationship. Well, anybody that's been married more than probably a year understands that marriage is a refining process whereby you grow together in a deeper form of intimacy and love that's way beyond happiness. Let's talk about another one. Becoming famous or being recognized, right? Fame and fortune. This, I think, is probably one of the biggest messages that we receive today, which is why you have hundreds of thousands, maybe it's millions of people on YouTube and TikTok and Instagram promoting themselves. It's why we have so many shows like The Voice and America's Got Talent and what's the old one with Simon Cowell, American Idol, and all these different things, right? That these your celebrity status, being famous, will really bring you happiness, because that success of being known will bring you happiness. Another message we receive is that if you have these exciting experiences, like, you know, the commercials, the luxury lifestyle, the luxury travel experiences, that these types of adventures are the moments in life that really will bring you into that place of true satisfaction. Like, this is what's going to make you happier, a better champagne brunch, a bigger cruise. Now, some of you love to travel, and I'm thinking of my friend Amanda, who loves to travel. I'm not saying that travel experiences can't be fun and aren't a great part of our lives. What I'm saying is, if that's the thing that you're relying upon to bring you happiness, you're going to be let down, because the travel experience in and of itself cannot truly satisfy. Another message, and this might offend some people, but I'm here to preach the gospel, not to make people feel comfortable. And that is this idea that your happiness will come when you express your true self. That there really is no right or wrong in the world, and when you just embrace your identity as who you are, then you will find happiness. No matter what actions the Bible says, or you should or should not do this, as long as you just live authentically for who you are, that's going to make you happy. Well, it doesn't, and it falls woefully short. And then the final thing that I have on here is this idea that you have to continually keep improving yourself. It's this constant optimization. It's more productivity. It's having a more well-managed home. It's being more efficient at making money. It's a better body, a stronger personal brand, that you got to constantly kind of have this impressive lifestyle, that you're constantly improving yourself. And I think that leads to burnout, and it leads to ultimately unfulfillment in your life. And so what I want to blow the whistle on is, having been in advertising and sold things and did a lot of branding in my life, the true trick of advertising is really based on three things. One, telling you that you're missing something. There's something that's just out of reach that you're missing out on. Number two, that absence, the thing that you're missing out on, explains why you have this discomfort, why you feel the way that you do. And number three, my product or my service or this experience that I'm going to sell you closes the gap. And this is going to bring you that area that you're just constantly like, I'm not fulfilled. That this one thing is going to fulfill that. This is ultimately the trick of what advertising does to each and every one of us. And I wrote this down. This is ultimately the messaging that comes from a worldly perspective that's constantly being bombarded at you and I, is that you have to build an enviable life. To be attractive, to be successful, interesting, well-connected, and materially comfortable. And when you do that, happiness will follow. Well, as I've been talking about all year long, if you really drill down to the root thing of why we do all of these things, it's still going to come back to something I shared with you earlier this year. And that is that all of these things are based on your worthiness or your insecurity, your lack of worthiness. And so you chase after these things that you think are going to make you more worthy, but ultimately they are fleeting because the watch you just bought is good for today, but it's not necessarily the newest thing. And the guy that has the newest thing looks at your watch and is like, oh, you still have one of those old ones, and you're not accepted because of the things you wear or the way you look. And here's the other thing. For those of you that, you're young now and you look great, as you get older in life, you start to age and your skin isn't as young and your hair doesn't grow as long as it used to. And there's certain things that your body's going to change. And if you don't understand how to accept yourself and get your worth, you're going to be chasing after things for a long time to try to make yourself happy. So I told you I was going to give you the secret to happiness, and I'm going to do that right now because I'm not just here to promise you something and not give it to you. Hopefully you're not going to be disappointed. Some of you may be disappointed in this answer. Hopefully you won't, but here it is. Here's the secret to living a life of happiness, or I would use the word joy. And that is living from your heart. Living from your heart. This is the secret to living a happy life. And as we've talked about before, well, what does this mean? What this means is the heart is a repository of this thing called love. And as we've shared many times before, love is not a noun, it's a verb. So therefore, the bottom line of this is that you have to shift your heart from focusing on yourself and getting mine and filling me with all these things and focus on other people. This is the meaning of love. Love considers others better than yourself. And here's the beauty. It produces joy. It produces happiness. It produces satisfaction in life. But we have an issue. The issue is that our hearts are born selfish, and then we live in a world that tells you to be selfish. So you need to have a shift take place in your life, and you have to give up the pursuit of these things and choose these things. Jesus said it himself in Mark chapter 10, verses 43 through 45. He says this, "But it is not this way among you. Rather, whoever wants to become prominent, famous, among you shall be your servant. And whoever wants to be first among you shall be slave of all. For even the Son of Man, Jesus, did not come to be served, but to serve, and to give his life as a ransom for many." Jesus gave us the secret to living a life of happiness, of joy. That's a life where you don't have to live from a place of selfishness in your own heart, and you can be a source of love to someone else. In the book of Acts, chapter 20, verse 25, it says, "In everything I showed you that by working hard in this way, you must help the weak, and remember the words of the Lord Jesus that he himself said, 'It is more blessed to give than to receive.'" Time out. The messaging that comes from the world is you got to get. But Jesus' message is that it is more blessed to give than to receive. Many of you have experienced that for yourself, but when it doesn't come out of a place of genuine love because you already know your worth is cemented in your identity in Christ, and you know the essence of God, you know his character, you know that he is a God of love, well, now everything's out of an overflow from your heart, and you're not doing it to try to earn other people's approval. The perfect example of that to me is at the Last Supper when Jesus gets up from the table and puts on a towel and washes the dirt off of his disciples' feet. Now, I don't know about you. I don't love feet. I don't like stinky feet. Feet can be kind of ugly. Some people love feet. I don't have a problem with feet, but it's not necessarily the part of your body that I'm really like, oh, I want to touch that and I want to wash them. These are the things that are on the ground all the time, right? But Jesus shows us something about our hearts, and he shows us what the ultimate goal is, and he sets the example for us, and then he says this to us and his disciples. He says this, "So if I, the Lord and the teacher, washed your feet, you also ought to wash one another's feet. For I gave you an example so that you also would do just as I did for you. Truly, truly," anytime it says truly, truly, it's like, hey, pay attention. "I say to you, a slave is not greater than his master, nor is one who is sent greater than the one who sent him. If you know these things," not just know these things, "you are blessed if you do them." Blessed. Well, how are you blessed? Because what are we looking for? All of us are looking for life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Well, here it is. Jesus shows us the way. And I really wanted to share this with you and give us an opportunity to have some conversations around this, because I think it's really, really easy for us to slide into things that we're comfortable with, or the messaging of the world, or even our fears, and letting go of things. And I think it's really important for us not to get caught up in that, because my goal and my heart for you and for me and for my family is that we live a life of joy, and that joy doesn't come from stuff, but it comes from the Lord. Now, here's what happens. When you start living your life that way, all these things will be added unto you. God knows what you need. He knows what brings you. It is fun to own a jet ski. It's fun to go on a trip. It's fun to drive a nice car. There's nothing wrong with that. But see, when that becomes the thing that's leading you to happiness, it's never going to be enough. Instead, that becomes a resource or a tool for you to share and enjoy while you're in this world. It is a completely different way to live your life. And so I want to create some space for you to really reflect on that yourself and have some honest conversations with one another. And let's continue to pursue a life of happiness in the Lord, where we can become the people of God, as Jesus says, to want to wash other people's feet. It's kind of the standard that he set for us. And it's a beautiful thing. It's not a bad thing. When you live from a place of your heart, you will find true happiness in him. God bless you.